Okay. Now, in talking about the other types of essay, all right, we want to talk about the these other types that we have been talking about opinion essay, yes, before now. And we're talking about opinion essay, the different strategies of writing opinion essay. Now, let me say that at this point, we will not be able to handle, we will not be handling each of those essays one after the other, as it were, but we will just use the what's it called now? Some of the approaches that we've been taught on how to handle opinion essay. We just adapt it into how to handle the other types. Let's just put that way. Just put them into handling the other types. So, and I'm expecting that we make use of the same ability or the same skill that we have learned under these ones. We make use of those same set of ability in talking about the different types of essay that we are going to be just discussing now. Now, so we have, as far as I'm concerned, I consider this as number 2. I consider it in number 2 because the first type is opinion essay, and second type is discuss both views, and give your opinion. Now let's understand the fact that sorry, let me one after the other. Okay, so discuss both views and give your opinion. Now, in discussing these views, before they ask us for your opinion, this question is suggestive of 5 paragraphs. Now, typically, you write 4 paragraphs. Introduction, body essay, paragraph 1, body essay, paragraph 2, then conclusion. That's 4 paragraphs. But this one usually, or this one most likely is suggestive of 5 paragraphs. However, sometimes some people may prefer to write 4 paragraphs, but I prefer that a person uses what's it called, 5 paragraph structure to handle this. Actually, there are about 2 questions that are suggestive of 5 paragraph structure: the discuss both views and give opinion essay, and the if you have hybrid question element 3, a hybrid question that has 3 question elements. So those 2 are suggestive of opinion essay. So we'll just probably take 2 tonight, because I'm almost it's most likely that we may not be able to finish all 4 before we go on to before 9 o'clock. And also it will also help us to break the load of the work, so that I don't have to pile up work on my table. So discuss both views and give your opinion. So what are the strategies that you should use for this strategies? Now, number 1, your typical, you already know that in your introduction, please know that your introduction should still have your hook or punchline, and please, you should also make sure that you take your take your what's it called now, prompt paraphrase. Now, before you begin to talk about which one you prefer, please, or which your thesis, your prompt paraphrase is that statement that helps you to provide a background to your thesis. Just like it provides background to the question in the topic, it should also provide background. By the time you paraphrase it, it should also provide background to your thesis statement. Now, prompt paraphrase is equally very important. Now, let me say this. After that, okay, your question, hook, punchline, prompt paraphrase is just as unique as your question. So whatever question you have, the punchline or prompt paraphrase should be directly gotten from your question. We've told ourselves how to get our hook, and from the bone of contention, the same thing applies here. The question might have a middle ground or something, a subcategory lurking somewhere, or a huge a broader topic under which that question has been brought, and is lurking somewhere. Then you make a statement around it. Then number C, your thesis statement. Please, your thesis statement is also as unique as your question. Make sure that your thesis statement does not copy something else except what has been indicated in your question. And there are several ways of writing thesis statements. Let me say this, that thesis statement can be that this essay, okay, I was going to raise an issue. This essay will discuss the word discuss is not how do I put it, unchangeable. It's not unchangeable, it's changeable. Discuss, highlight, okay, elaborate, let's say elaborate these ideas, points, or views, and my opinion. Some people use this one, my opinion will be exposed. Now, that's a possibility. Some people would go this essay will explain my bias as a person informs or brings out, you write the statement, the opinion, what his opinion is going to be, what is bias is going to be, what his thoughts is going to be. This essay will explain my bias as dash 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 after giving explanation to these ideas. So you have that. Now, some people, now this brings me to I've not turned in the work to the person, but let's quickly look at something. Now I'm going to read it out, and the person will know that it is his work that I'm reading. It's unique. Okay, so let me bring it out. Let me bring it out, and I want to read it out. I'll make my point. Okay. Please hold on for me a bit. Now, please listen to this. I think it's one of those workout I'm supposed to review. But listen to this. Now, we have a number of individuals or teachers online, or whether physically, maybe you've come across this approach before. And what's the approach? That in your thesis statement, you should state the 2 points, so to speak. In some cases where you just have to talk about 2 points. In your thesis statement, you state the 2 points why you are going to add the points they are going to be discussing in the body of the essay. Now, I need people who have seen this kind of approach before. Please raise your hand. Raise your hand. You have seen an approach where a place where examiners are saying that you should state the points for which you are going to be discussing. Okay, good. So you have seen that that approach before. You've seen or heard teachers peddle that approach before. Good. Now, the question is that I need you to respond. Okay, Mr. Tunde and Mrs. Kefi have raised their hand. They've seen it before. The question is that approach only meant for a type of essay task 2, or is applicable to all? Please respond, and let's have a full knowledge of where you're coming from. Yep. Miss Kefi, can I hear from you?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's applicable to all. Okay. But I recently saw that for advantages and disadvantages, and the way the teacher put it up was that probably you can introduce your at least 2 points for the advantages. Just introduce list 2 points at least. Then at the end, you can conclude with probably 2 points for the disadvantages, giving a reason why you don't agree with those points. Something like that.
Okay. Now, do you know that? Hold on a minute.
Okay.
You know that there are 2 question types that have the words advantages and disadvantages. From what I've taught you, there is one where you have advantages or disadvantages.
Yes.
And there is and the baby, or the second part of that, is where you are asked to talk about advantages weighing over disadvantages.
Yes.
Then there is a third one where they ask you both to discuss both advantages and disadvantages. So you are saying now
your
that
opinion, right?
No, advantages and disadvantages. They just ask you for the advantages and disadvantages. So what you are saying now is that this approach, as being peddled by this person, is applicable to all of these 3 possible. Let's just take those ones as our guinea pig. Is applicable to all these 3 what's it called now? Types of advantages and disadvantages question. So it's applicable to all 3, right?
Yeah, I think so. But now, the one I can remember clearly is the advantage and I think the advantages outweighing the disadvantage. The one I recently came across.
Okay. Now the thing is
one that is outweighing the other.
That outweighs the other. Okay, good. But the thing here is that okay, can we have Mr. Tunde discuss his own point of view on this? Okay, is he still there? Okay, maybe he's typing or something. Okay, now let's see this. Let me just say this, that in a situation where they ask you to discuss or to introduce your points. The question is, how neatly or how can this be done so in a very neat way without you complicating matters for yourself? Now, we have one. There are two, taking advantages and disadvantages. There are two possible, what's it called now? And three possible ones. The one where they say advantages or disadvantages. Okay. In that case, it's okay. You can still manage through by, putting out there two advantages or two disadvantages in very, very short clauses. Okay, very, very short clauses. That is if the person knows the dynamics of clauses and phrases. Okay, and phrases, clauses, and sentences. All right, that's one. Then number two, is it doable when you now have one weighing over the other? And remember, this is still the IELTS will still, more often than not in this question, say advantages outweighing disadvantages. And from what we have discussed the last time, it is the two. That means you have to raise two advantages or two disadvantages. Or better still, one advantage, like you said, like Ms. Kefi said the other day, one advantage, since you are not going for one advantage, you just talk about one. Since you are going for disadvantage, you talk about two. But here, the question is, I'm very, very skeptical. I'm very, very keen and very, very careful with words in English language. Where they are saying, does the advantages outweigh disadvantages? They are saying we acknowledge advantages and disadvantages. So if you want to weigh one over the other, you are going to show us advantages weighing more over its disadvantages, or better still, you show us disadvantages weighing more over advantages, which means that you are most likely going to have to talk about introduce 2 points in your introduction. Bring in 2 points for each, which is 4 points in the body of in your introduction after you have stated your thesis. Okay, so let's say that we can still say, okay, since we are weighing advantages over disadvantages, we are going to be talking about the advantages more. All right, we are going to bring in the points. What about in a situation where it is now we cannot beat around the bush, or we cannot stay away from writing the two, where the sentence actually really, really say that we should bring in 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. So we pack all the points into an introduction. And our introduction, like I said earlier, should be as simple as possible and as straightforward as possible, because we don't want to bore the examiner from the introduction. So if you have to put all these 4 items in your introduction, then there is a very likelihood that the examiner might be bored. Okay. Now, having said that.
Sorry, point of correction. Not all the 4. Not all the 4.
Which
point of
this is it.
I
this
was
is
to
it.
assume now that.
Okay. I'm listening. Make your point.
I just want to assume that I am going for the advantages outweighing the disadvantage. I'm just giving an instance.
Mm-hmm.
You can put 2 major points of your advantage at the beginning and say, like, just like you said, this essay will explain why I strongly agree, or something like that, Sha, with the 2 major points, or you can points to say this and this are the reasons why this is good. Then at the end, you can now say, because of this and this, that's the disadvantage. There are probably minor reasons why I strongly agree with the other, what you are agreeing with. So you are like downplaying the other one at the end, but not repeating the 2 points you
Mentioned
made
earlier.
at the beginning, which are your strong points.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the beginning is what you are for. Then the end, two points that you are downplaying and why you are not for it.
Okay.
At the end, so that you don't repeat those 2 strong points again.
I quite understand you, but I also want you to understand where I'm coming from. If that is doable under one outweighing the other, that's doable under one outweighing the other. But what if in the situation where they ask you to discuss both advantages and disadvantages? You don't have a choice now. They're asking you to talk about the two. It's not a matter of you choosing which one you want to go for, but they ask you to actually pick the two, discuss the two. No choice, no preferences, discuss the two and conclude. So in that case, are these proponents also saying that we should put all 4 points in the introduction? Maybe if you want to respond, you may respond, but that's my question. In the case where we will all agree that there are advantages and disadvantages kind of question. So, and they say that it's always good to introduce your points in your introduction after you would have stated your thesis. The question now is that, are we now going to bring all 4 points, 2 for advantages, 2 for disadvantages, in the introduction after the thesis? Is that the approach? So now, I'm not going to, because I know there are quite a number of people who are not first timers here. Let me see what our chat is saying here. Okay, good. Now, I'm not. Let me say this. The approach to be used in IELTS, the approach seems to be multivariate that are actually acceptable in IELTS. Multivariate, they are multivariate. All teachers, school of thoughts, proponents of approaches of IELTS writing basically will pedal the one that favors them. Now, I have my style and I've been teaching it, but I always tell students, please, especially students who have written it before, especially people who have had first-hand experience with IELTS before they come in contact with me. I tell them there are some things I just trash. Once you bring it to my class, I trash them immediately. And there are some things that I would allow you to go with because there are no hard and fast rule about them. Now, and there are some that would say, if you are going to use that, then it had better be like this. And I'm going to say this. If you are going to introduce your points in your introduction, don't make them heavy on your thesis. Being heavy on your thesis will overshadow your thesis totally and will not make your thesis shine. They overshadow it, they overburden it, they cover it up. That by the time the examiner wants to go, I think the examiner should be able. By the time I'm going in to read what you have written in the body of the essay, I want to still remember what you said your thesis was. I don't want to have to go back to where and go and search out your thesis again in order to remind myself what you said you're going to be writing on. No, I want it to be as clear as possible, as very, very unshadowed. It's not covered up. It's very, very glaring. So if your 2 points or 4 points will not achieve that aim, then there's no point bringing your this thing into the bringing your points into the introduction. Some people cannot write in phrases once it comes to summarizing, maybe to just summarize the points in the introduction. And so they will write two very long sentences. Okay? Once they write two very long sentences, then it overshadows their thesis. And I haven't read that. Then the examiner will have to be forced to go back again to check what exactly their thesis is all about in order to mark them against their thesis. So let's put this on the spotlight and let's see. Please, I want you to listen and listen very carefully. We have this one, and I think the owner would know that this is my work that is being dissected now. Okay, so it says, before long, persons who do not have any knowledge about computers will be deprived of its benefits. Although its benefit is not the idea. You have changed the what's it called now? The question by bringing deprived of the benefits of the computer. They said, the question says, those who cannot work with computer will be disadvantaged. That means there are some areas of life they will not be able to pick up and benefit from. Some areas of life. Those who cannot work with the computer will be disadvantaged. They are not talking about benefits, they will be deprived of the benefits of the computer. So let's move that, but that's still not my spotlight here, or what I want us to dissect here. I strongly agree with this statement because our world today is a global village. This is as a result of the evolution in technology and new innovations in data processing machines, in other words, called computers. It has changed the narratives and how we interact and do business in today's modern society. So, despite all the numerous achievements and rewards derived from computer, there are individuals who are yet to align themselves with these assets. To buttress my argument further, I have the following points to note. Now, before the person begin to talk about, firstly, computers are used in banks. Now, let me say this, that this person needs to see maybe the first video from day voice, then the day after yesterday's video, the first video from the last class. You need to see it because here we talked about the fact that your essay should be as simple as possible. Your introduction should be as simple as possible. Paraphrase, if you can bring in your paraphrasal, bring it in. If you can bring a point line because your paraphrasal, bring your punchline in, paraphrase, then make your thesis statement as simple as possible. Make your thesis statement as simple as possible. But this person has already, and we talked about the fact that don't make your introduction seem as if you already started taking a side. And this person has already taken sides in the introduction before the person went into talking about what's it called now? Firstly, computer, maybe the points. Okay. All right. Now, I think this person is trying to follow the approach of these people who are peddling that you bring in points into your introduction. He's trying to follow them. All right. And in following them, the person has also actually make a mess of the whole thing. So now the thesis I strongly agree with the statement because, those people said we should give reasons for our statements or introduce the points. And that's why it's bringing, because our world is a global village and it's totally, not in good shape. So that's at worst or at most, let me put it as at most, your introduction should not be more than 4 sentences. At most 4 sentences, at most, but at least 2 sentences and at most 4 sentences. 2 sentences because if you want to go just paraphrasal and thesis, 2 sentences, but at most and at most and at most 4. Even that 4 is becoming cumbersome at that level. It should not be maybe at most 2 and at most 3 and at least 2. All right. So please, this paragraph, introductory paragraph has too many words, is too worded for a typical IELTS years introduction. And because of that, it has not fulfilled all the basic things that should be in an IELTS introduction. So this is one of the reasons why I tell my students, stay away from a particular approach. Don't stay away from this, stay away from this, because in the heat of the moment, sometimes students get to in the heat of the moment, they forget everything that they have learned or everything that they know. Okay, I have seen such situations like that, where people just forget in a jiffy, in a moment, they forget all that they have learned, and it becomes an issue, it becomes an issue for them to write their essay the way they should. So here, as far as I'm concerned, the last thing I want to see is your thesis statement. However, I must say also that the approach of having to write your what's it called now, your points, is also a valid one, as long as they don't overshadow your thesis. Just imagine this now. This is sentence 1. By sentence 2, the person already brought in thesis, and the person went all from then the person went all a mega sentence, very long sentence. Then 3 1 2 3 3 sentences before the person ended the paragraph, when in actual fact, so 3 4 5, so 5 sentences in all, and out of that 5 sentences we have about 2 1 compound sentence and 1 compound complex sentence, and so that makes it very long. And then the essay, the thesis statement, is as far back as the second sentence, and then we still have 3 more sentences to go, which means that the three sentences overshadowed let's overshadow the thesis. Let's also see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 lines, but the thesis was stated on the 3rd line. Thesis was stated on the 3rd line, and we have to go all the way to the 13th line, 10 more lines before we could finish introduction. It is not the ideal thing. So I believe the person who owns this understands it. Okay. Sorry that your work is coming under such an intense heat, but as soon as I see it, I'll make an example of it so that we can all learn. Okay. So that is that. So I hope we all understand. If you do understand, please, can I see your hands up? If you understand, can I see? Yes, good. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, good. All right. Let me, Mr. John, I didn't see your hand up. Do you understand what I said? Maybe you should just put your answer in your, respond in your in the chat. Okay. For those people who are just joining, you're welcome. However, we are at the point where we need to restart all over again. We are at the point where we stop the class and rejoin. Okay. We've not done so much. So you've not missed a lot. We've just been doing quite, looking at people's work and trying to see how we can learn from whatever mistakes that our colleagues in class have made and how to have a better understanding of the whole thing. Okay, so we will quickly log out now, and we'll see how we can move on from there. Okay, please, I'm logging out now, so please join almost immediately so that I think we have 4 minutes more. Kai, 4 more minutes. Okay, we'll quickly go through. We just spend the required number of addition to discuss both views and discuss problem and solution, and we'll call it a day for tonight. So apologies for that. Thank you very much.